Okay, we're talking about what led to Bryan Kohberger being caught and arrested. And I wanted to share one specific part of these documents that shows the types of investigative tools and resources that law enforcement use when they're trying to catch this individual. Now, this particular tip didn't lead anywhere, but it was still documented. And what happened with this particular incident was the crime in Moscow, Idaho actually occurred on November 13th, 2022. Now, this was on the 15th, just 2 days later at approximately 11:50 a.m. And someone came in to speak to officers at the substation, and we'll just call them A. And apparently this person had gone to a medical facility for care for cuts on his hand. Now, of course, this is going to pique law enforcement. This person has cuts on their hand, and this gruesome crime was a stabbing. And chances are this suspect may have cuts or have hurt himself during this gruesome stabbing. So they want to look into this person and interview. This person A said that on the 12th of November at around 8 p.m., he cut his hand attempting to cut a chicken sandwich. He said that he was intoxicated and he was trying to cut the meat, but his pocket knife apparently slipped and it cut his hand. And he had to go to the hospital. His wristband from the hospital said that he was there at about 2 p.m. on November 13th, 2022. So law enforcement still has to, vet this potential lead and make sure that this person is not a suspect. They photograph his injury on his hand. Officers have him walk them through his day. And he says that he basically gets up in the morning, he slept in and he went to the treehouse, this place where he could watch the game. There was the big football game that night. And he stayed there most of the day. Apparently about 7:30 p.m. he decided to leave that area, and he'd been drinking all night and he was with some friends. So this is another important aspect. We have new people mentioned in this story. So law enforcement want to know who his friends are so they can try to corroborate this story. And they actually end up speaking to one of his friends, and the friend told officers that he had been pretty drunk. This we'll call him A again, and A were walking down some stairs at the house, and A missed a step and fell into the window. Now, apparently this actually potentially cut his hand because there was glass that was broken from him falling into this window, and he saw A cutting the chicken later on and saw the blood, saw the injury, and he thought that he may have cut his hand from the glass instead of cutting the chicken. Basically, law enforcement, they photograph all this, they attach all this to the case into the documents, and this never panned out. But again, it just shows you all the different angles that they're looking at, different suspects when this crime occurred, and that could have been a very valid suspect. I mean, this person, we know it's Bryan Kohberger, obviously, at this point, but had Bryan Kohberger cut himself on the knife and checked himself into a medical facility, that could have been that lead that helped law enforcement catch him at that time. Thought that was interesting. We're going to have more stories and inserts from these documents. There's just so many to go through, but I thought I'd share one interesting story with you from those documents, and I'll have another video soon. Y'all take care.